Hemingway.
Hemingway.
Hemingway!
Ernest Miller Hemingway was born July 21st, 1899, in Oak Park, Illinois. His father, Clarence Edmonds Hemingway, was a physician, and his mother, Grace Hall Hemingway, was a musician. Both were well educated and well respected in the conservative community of Oak Park. As a young man, Ernest Hemingway was shy and awkward and found that his forte was in writing rather than in athletics. Late in his high school career, he was referred to report on the crime scenes for the local newspaper. He also got his first work published in the local newspaper titled The Judgment of Manitou before the outbreak of World War I. With the outbreak of World War I, Hemingway, like many of his generation, was caught up in the patriotic fervor of the time. Rejected from the Army Corps, he enlisted in the Red Cross Ambulance Service to join on the Italian front. Not long into his service, Ernest Hemingway found himself bored with life in the Italian Ambulance Corps and decided he was going to go find where the real war was. Going to the Italian front, only to be hit by a stray mortar shell from the Austrian side. In the knee.
Oh, God, my knee!
This brought an abrupt halt to Hemingway's military career, and after several months in the hospital and a short-lived romance with a nurse, he was discharged from the military. Hemingway had a hard time readjusting to civilian life and became greatly depressed. After a while living at home, he instead traveled to Paris, where he lived a boisterous life. Hemingway spent many years in Paris with his wife Hadley, where he wrote some of his best-known novels, including A Farewell to Arms, before moving back to Key West, Florida, where he married Pauline Hemingway. It was around this time that he then met Martha Gellhorn, a female journalist who convinced him to become a war correspondent during the Spanish Civil War. This is where he gained much of his inspiration for his other well-known novel, For Whom the Bell Tolls, which documents the life of an American guerrilla fighter who joins in the Spanish cause. Hemingway and Martha Gellhorn's time spent together during the Spanish Civil War later grew to a romance which resulted in Hemingway's divorce with Pauline Hemingway and a marriage between him and Martha Gellhorn. Unfortunately, due to Hemingway's competitive views of writing and his sexist nature, tensions grew between Martha Gellhorn and himself, later resulting in their divorce as well.
Hemingway did remarry once more before his death. His final wife, Mary Hemingway, was responsible for the skewing of his memoir in its original publication, as she reordered events to better suit her.
Throughout his life, Hemingway was known as being something of a romantic, an aggregate of fearsome appetites for war, athleticism, sex, and alcohol. There's Zane, trying to flirt. Hemingway also enjoyed getting into fights when he felt that he was being questioned or just for the hell of it. Just a few short years after winning the Nobel Prize for Literature, Ernest Hemingway killed himself in Idaho in his cabin. Hemingway was something of a symbol for the 20th century and a representative of the lost generation. His clipped, sparse prose earned him much renown in the literary world, and he will be forever remembered for those characters which he sought to create and the image of man which he promoted so fiercely.